The new season of Battlegrounds is here, and now spells are all over the tavern. There are so many new comps to play, and you guys might be confused on how to play all of them. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys the 5 best comps to try out this new spell meta. Starting off with the 5th one, the KT Phalanx comp. It turns out that KT is not so good in the undead comp, but where it truly shines is when you can turn your Phalanx stats into permanent stats. Let me walk you guys through how exactly to set it up. First, you'll need to establish your KT Phalanx setup. If you triple into the KT first, you can try to destroy any reborn undead of your choice and try to duplicate it. Basically, how Kel'Thuzad works is that it'll destroy the undead during your turn, and that'll give you the copy of the undead without the reborn effect. Then, as long as you have a board space open, you'll resummon it back, effectively duplicating this minion. In this case, I did it on Steadfast Spirit, which gave my board +1/+1 permanently every time I destroyed it. If you get the Phalanx first, you should just try to play your typical Phalanx comp, but keep an eye out for KT in your rolls. After you have the setup, you want to reborn the Phalanx. Can be either done through Scarab, Mechadraxus, or if you have enough time, you can also spend one turn giving your Phalanx reborn with Mummifier. After your Phalanx is reborn, you can do the same thing as before, with Phalanx as your undead and easily make a golden Phalanx. Remember, the triple Phalanx will still have reborn, even though some of the Phalanx that were used to make the triple were not reborn. Now that we have golden Phalanx with reborn, KT, and hopefully Titus, we just need to fill the rest of the board with good menagerie units. These can include Warpwing, Floiper, or even Murgul. The beauty of this build is that your menagerie units will actively scale +20/+20 a turn because the stats that come when KT destroys the Phalanx are permanent. Remember to always leave a board space though to resummon another golden Phalanx. You will lose your big Phalanx if you don't have board space for it. If you did everything right, your board will be strong at every stage in the game, and this scaling is definitely good enough to get a first place. The second comp that is strong throughout the game may surprise you because it actually builds around Eliza. That's right, Eliza is now playable thanks to a new card. Have you guessed it? That new card is Ferrix. Just stay with me for a second. I thought this comp was a meme as well until I saw it beat a full board of 300 Divine Shield mechs. During the playtest event with a bunch of streamers, Pocky pulled off an incredible win with this comp, and I had to try it out as well to know just how legit it is or if it was just a fluke. And I was shocked because this build was legit. Essentially, you want to triple into Eliza, and ideally you already have Rapscan Recruiter or Scalawags to make it immediately good. Bonus points if you have the Ferrix already, which is already a solid tempo unit in the mid game. Then, the board you want to build towards is usually Scalawag, Rapscallion, Eliza, Baron, and a Divine Shield Taunt. What makes this comp good is every time your Scalawag dies, it contributes 3 Avenge procs to your Ferrix, which resets Divine Shields on your whole board. This makes a comp which originally not had much utility in the past to all the utility it could ask for. Even though this comp might look bad, just give it a shot if you're in a position to play it. Now we're going to get into some of the spell heavy comps. These comps are kind of the most confusing ones to play, but after I break it down, you should have a clear understanding of how exactly to play them. The third comp I'm covering is the Azurite variation of the comp. Typically, you go for this comp when you can get 2 of them easily, or you already had a Barnstormer set up early game, or you have consistent spell generation already through Spellbound Seafarer or Sporebat. Landlubber is also a key card to pick up with this comp as it makes it twice as likely you roll into a cheap spell. It also helps a lot to be the new hero that makes every single third spell free. Finally, I like to buy every 1-cost spell and 2-cost spell that gives money back. On the way, you can buy big premium elementals including Recycling Wraith, Wildfire Elemental, and Landlubber, but definitely don't spend too much money on every single elemental. This comp I like to play exclusively on Tavern 4 because you're not really leveling for anything, and if you level, your spell quality will get worse because the Tavern 5 spells get more expensive. In the end, similar to Nomi, you can stop worrying too much about shop scaling, and your power spike comes from tripling elementals. I was able to get my shop to 300 with a golden seafarer, and it was a ton of fun. And also, one thing I have to say, don't worry too much about optimizing your spells. You'll get so many of them, I like to just use them as I get them, or else you'll surely run out of time. This will be especially true for the next two comps I'll show you guys. Starting off with the Nala variation of the spell comp. For this comp, cards such as Trembling Trolley and Ignition Drake are much more appealing because you can use them as pieces in your menagerie and also scale them. These cards are also the true enabler of Nala comp as they make picking up that Nala much more easy. You also want great utility units such as Foe Reaper, Murgle, and or Warpwing. I've also ran two pirates in the form of Tethys and Seafarer before because they just work so well together. Regardless, after you have your menagerie, you then want to buy all the same spells as you did for the previous comp, which is all the 1-cost spells and 2-cost spells that give back money, in addition to the 6-cost spells because they generally provide great value. But there's one more broken thing you should know about this comp. Every game now has access to buddies thanks to the spell Bring in the Buddies, and if you're playing this comp and ever have the option of getting Millhouse Buddy, you have to pick it. Millhouse Buddy adds a spell of the same tavern tier whenever you buy a spell, so when you buy a Tavern 1 spell, you can simply keep buying Tavern 1 spells without ever having to roll, and all the Tavern 1 spells just cost 1 or 2, and you'll play like 15 spells per turn with Nala. It's absolutely insane scaling. And even though that combo is extremely good, I'll now show you guys how to play what I think is the most explosive scaling comp in the game currently, which is Lord of Gains comp. It's really easy to add 100 to your board every single turn with this comp, but it's pretty tricky to set up. From my experience, building up a Lava Lurker mid-game is the best enabler for the Lord of Gains comp. After you find your Lord of Gains, you can buy similar spells as you would for the other two comps. The best Nagas to scale for this comp is Daggerspine Thrasher, Corrupted Myrmidon, Savjz, and Lava Lurker, which you may already have. I think it also doesn't hurt to have one spell generation card on top of your Naga setup, like maybe the Ignition Drake or maybe a Reborn Sporebat, but definitely not more than one. The one spell you should value a ton while playing this comp is Primal Staff, as it works with Lord of Gains and doubles your scaling. It's absolutely nuts. These were all of the comps that were discovered in the first few days of the new season, but for sure there are more comps to be discovered. If you guys don't want to miss out on new meta updates like this video, just be sure to subscribe and I'll keep you guys updated for sure. Thanks you guys so much for watching, and yeah, peace.